And then you can see, but now where it gets kind of interesting here on some of the reporting, Jim, I can pull this report and view the 400A report, and I'll email this full packet to you when we're done here.
Okay.
But it spits out this nice report. It'll have your logo and your name on it and everything. And then the full PDF report is main data, other cost, which I'll show you here in a second, spec sheet, pie chart, and a comparison. You can put your logo and everything on the letterhead. I'll show you where we do that.
Okay.
And then prints off these clean reports. I'll show you the depreciation calculator and this trip cost calculator here in a minute. Our spec sheet of the airplane, specific to his parameters, basic aircraft performance data, which we get from the OEMs. Then we have a pie chart or a bar chart of breaking down the exact expenses of where everything's going. So you can see here 24% of his budget is going into fuel, and the other big piece is going into crew expense and management fee. And then there's the comparison, which you'd have a limited amount of aircraft to compare side by side. The other pretty neat thing about the program here is, and I'm in discussions with NBAA on this, it's called the trip cost calculator. This helps a guy identify and truly show the cost savings with business aircraft, and then specifically this 400A. So I put in a trip here, maybe it's going to go 1,200 stat shoot miles, and the block speed is 483, which you could change if you wanted. So the flight time is going to be about 2.5 hours. So his total trip cost in this airplane is going to cost him $4,100. Is maybe on this 1,200 mile trip they're going to hit 4 or 5 cities in one day and be back the same night. So they're going to save maybe 12 hours of time, and then maybe they're going to save $3,000 in commercial, hotels, tickets, rental cars. Now we take into account the value of an executive. The guy making $500,000 a year is making $250 an hour roughly. And maybe they put 4 guys into that beach jet. So now you can see here, these all in commercial trip costs would be $15,000. He can run it in his beach jet for $4,100, saving him $10,582 or $904 an hour of real time and money. And then over here on the hourly charter cost analysis, you can see that his revenue and then what his variable costs, so his gross profit per charter hour is right here. And then here's his annual operational cost summary. So he's going to have about $607,000 of annual cost after he gets $177,000 of charter revenue to offset. We've got makers in here, our depreciation schedule. So maybe he pays $1 million for that airplane. And then these, we pre-populate these fields, Jim, the rates according to makers, 135 aircraft, or if you wanted the 91 operation, you could change those fields so you could see his adjusted cost per hour there. So, and then the reporting, like I said, it's a big thing to be able to just crank these reports out. I mean, what used to take me hours, I realized the airplane business was going to be pretty tough. I better figure out something else and find something that the market needs, and created this, intuitive, simple, new way of looking at programs, return on investment side of things. I don't know if you've got a lot of sales guys working for you these days, but it really helps to, when I've got airplanes in inventory, to be able to ask the guys the questions of, how maybe you got a Falcon 50 in your inventory and you get the sales call and you can engage the guy. How many hours a year are you going to fly? Are you going to do any charter? Let me send you a report, and it's all on JB&A, letterhead, branding, and maybe that guy doesn't buy your 50, but he gets that report and he says, "Look, I'm looking at this other 50." So it's a marketing tool as well.
Yeah. Now on the reports, are they just similar to this screen that we're looking at here? That report is just like that. It's just printed in that same format and everything. Is that correct?
Yeah. Here, I'll let me save this, and I'll email it over to you here.
See, you're on a Mac.
I am on a Mac, and we're compliant. You can be on a Mac, a PC. It doesn't matter.
All right. Now we're looking at spreadsheet or your input thing. So all that stuff that you've got in these, where you are right now, that's all over here on this report you sent. It's just in a different printed format.
Look at the last page of the PDF.
Last page, yes.
So you'll see the comparison, but I think I just put the 400A on that report, but you can see it on my screen. Now I've got it side by side next to the B200, right?
Right.
So pretty similar parameters. The 400A is going to cost them $2,200 an hour versus $1,100 an hour in the B200.
Right.
But now you can always export this report. So if you don't want it in a PDF, I can export it into an Excel file. And
Okay.
if I wanted to do changes or mark it up or put some other comments or notes or what have you, I can put it into Excel here, and it opens up into Excel, and you can edit the whole thing the way you wanted to do it. So this tool I use a lot, because if the guy doesn't want to see a 12-page report with all the specs, if he just wants to see the down and dirty, you just send him this, and you can put in footnotes or what have you.
Right. That thing right there, that the spreadsheet where you got all that, because depending on my experience has been, depending on who you're dealing with, accounting people want to see it in one format. Some people want to see it in another format. The CEO, he wants to see it on a half a page. But the finance guy, he's like, well, I want it in them. They can't read anything anymore. They have to look at everything. It has to be in a spreadsheet. You have to write them a letter in a spreadsheet. So that's where this would come in handy, is they can sit there and